a murderer with a $5 million bounty on his head. He targeted this lovely little girl. The girl is completely unaware of the imminent danger. She was holding a net, aiming at a hornet in the distance. Suddenly, Kai appeared with a slaughter gun on his back. The noise he made scared away the hornet. Avery, seeing the situation, was like an angry kitten and scolded Kai. Kai did not get angry. Instead, he quietly apologized because he had his own purpose for this trip. Seeing Kai walk over, the girl pouted. "You're really annoying. Because of you, not only did the pig slaughtering plan fall through, even my hornet is gone." Seeing the girl's strange and moody appearance, Kai tried hard to restrain his anger. He pretended to look apologetic, and smiled as he asked her about Theodore's whereabouts. Avery's answer shocked Kai. She actually said she didn't know. Not only her. Even their whole family doesn't know. Kai does not believe her words. He interrogated the girl. "A person who does chores at your house every day. You tell me you don't know where he lives." Avery, however, said that Theodore suddenly appeared one day. Therefore, they do not know him well. Kai's patience was gradually worn out. He asked loudly which day it was. The girl pretended to be thoughtful. She walked around for a while. She looked mischievously at Kai and asked, "What day is today?" Kai realized that he had been played. He was so angry that his eyes turned red. He could not hold back any longer. He opened the valve of the slaughter gun. He aimed the gun at the girl. "You really deserve a beating." The girl's pupils constricted. She asked back if Kai killed her father. Kai answered with actions. She looked at the demon rushing towards her. Avery grabbed the life-saving straw by her waist. She threw it at Kai's face with a smack. He stopped moving, touched the sticky liquid on his face, and guessed that it was honey. Just as Kai was still confused, a small box flew to his feet. A group of bees flew out of it. They instantly surrounded Kai and stung him fiercely. The girl took the opportunity to escape to the B&B. She ran while shouting loudly for help to her family. Kai saw the situation and swatted away the bees. He didn't have time to worry about his bruises all over his body. He quickly chased after the girl. Suddenly, he seemed to see something. It turned out to be Theodore, whom he had been looking for all along. Kai had just opened his mouth when Theodore was scared off by his terrifying appearance. Did he really run away scared and turned as Kai thought? He glanced at the fleeing Theodore and then looked in the direction of Avery in the distance. He was caught in a dilemma of choices. After a brief moment of contemplation, he chased after Theodore. Because little Avery ran away, he could face up to 3 women at most. But Theodore is different. He has a gun in his hand. In order to catch up with Theodore, Kai dropped the slaughter gun. He pursued all the way, but he still lost track. At this moment, he spotted a wooden cabin in the distance. Kai quietly approached. He opened the door and made sure there was no one inside. He walked in and searched through the tools inside the room. He confirmed that this was Theodore's residence. Suddenly, he noticed on the gun rack by the bedside, there was no hunting rifle. Kai hurriedly looked around for it. He couldn't find it at all, because he had temporarily turned into a one-eyed dragon. He did not notice the movement under the bed. Just as he was looking out the window, observing the outside, Theodore quietly appeared behind him. When he turned his head, the butt of the gun was already prepared, knocking him unconscious. A psycho killer. He unexpectedly encountered someone even more twisted than he was. He was hung up by someone and tortured to the point of wishing for death. He even said that those who watched this video should comment and subscribe to save their lives. After Theodore knocked out Kai, he hung him up with 2 iron chains. He woke up from the noisy environment, not knowing how much time had passed. He saw Avery holding food. He started to speak harshly. "I advise you to kill me as soon as possible. Otherwise, I will kill them all." Before they could finish speaking, a funnel was inserted into their mouth. The little girl forcefully poured food into it. When Kai opened his eyes again, there was already someone else in front of him. He had a sinister smile on his face. "Annie, we are all murderers. What will you do if you let me go?" As soon as these words were spoken, the woman also guessed that Kai had regained his memory. She asked him for his name and the reason for coming here. After Kai gave a detailed account, he sensed that something was amiss. He knew that he had been drugged again. Kai asked the woman to give him some pleasure. The hostess was very puzzled when Kai said that he had killed her son and husband. The woman seemed to lose interest and turned to leave. Kai was still ruthless, vowing that if he could escape, he would surely kill them all. The woman paid no attention to these harsh words. She turned her head, revealing a sinister smile. "You weren't able to kill us when nobody was holding you, right?" After saying that, she turned around again. But the scenes unfolding in the room, these were all clearly seen by the people in the monitoring room. Theodore raised the microphone. "Betting starts now. Can Kai escape successfully?" Suddenly, a burst of noise erupted. Various responses filled the control room. It turns out there is more than one person watching the live broadcast. Does all of this really happening? No. Not possible. After the woman left, Kai fell back into a deep sleep. Blood was flowing all over the floor. Until Ruby woke him up. He saw the scheming girl. He first asked for the time. Then he asked Ruby to turn off the washing machine that had been beeping nonstop. The girl followed suit upon hearing this. At this moment, Kai spoke up. "You gave me poison. I didn't get to use it." Ruby, however, looked puzzled, not knowing what he was talking about. Kai's face was ferocious. "You made me the medicine to kill your whole family. However, I have already taken care of your father and brother." The girl walked towards the crazy Kai. She looked at him playfully. "I give you poison. It's not meant to be used like this. Haven't you figured out the situation yet?" Kai saw the situation, burst into laughter, and spit flew everywhere. Ruby was full of disgust. She turned around and opened the washing machine. Listening to that annoying sound, Kai started cursing. Unexpectedly, something even worse was yet to come. Ruby randomly turned off the light without knowing the purpose. The room plunged into endless darkness, accompanied by the sound of the washing machine. He gradually adapted to the darkness. His vision began to brighten. He fell into contemplation. This family, upon learning of their loved one's death, why do they all seem indifferent? After thinking for a while, he couldn't figure it out. He decided to close his eyes and go to sleep. But as soon as he closed his eyes, he heard a pig squeal. When he opened his eyes, he found himself surrounded by a group of pigs. Kai, terrified of pigs, was almost scared to death. He panicked and struggled frantically. A notorious serial killer on the run actually has a fear of pigs. He was almost scared to death by a group of pigs. He also said that those who come across this video, subscribing can save their lives. Kai, who was terrified by the pigs, struggled violently. I don't know if the quality is too poor or if someone is manipulating things behind the scenes. The wooden board was directly torn apart and fell down because of the bet involved. Theodore in the control room. He was collectively condemned by the bettors. They believed he tampered with the wooden board. But they were countered with a sentence. The variability of the plot fought back. At this moment, Kai is using all his strength to pull the iron chain out of the wooden board. However, his strength is too small. Suddenly, he sees a saw in the corner. Seeing hope, Kai lifts the huge wooden board and approaches step by step. After exerting a tremendous amount of effort, he finally manages to get the saw. Using all his remaining strength, he cuts the iron chain and breaks free. Kai, who has escaped, turns on the light. He turned off the annoying washing machine. Because he expended a great deal of energy, he felt very hungry. At that moment, he noticed the peaches on the shelf. However, he did not immediately reach out to grab them, because he discovered other things. That is the camera on the jar. Kai stood still in place. The camera is just too obvious. Theodore saw his expression, guessing that Kai has already noticed them. He is preparing to make a big profit. The opening allows everyone to place bets. Can Kai detect their presence? Just when he thought he had a sure thing, Kai happily took the canned food. He ate heartily, pretending to know nothing. After he was full and satisfied, he found a tool and opened the handcuffs. Then he selected a hammer and swung it hard twice, finding it very handy to use. So he decided to use it as a weapon. Suddenly, the washing machine started making a premeditated noise. Kai, who heard the sound, was stunned for a moment. He looked at the washing machine in confusion. I clearly turned it off. Kai slowly opened the machine lid. He found a toy pig inside. There seems to be some writing on the pig's back. He picked up the toy pig. It says, Rowdy, on top. Just as he was pondering who Rowdy was, the image of a pig's head flashed through his mind again. Terrified, he quickly threw the piglet to the ground. He stomped fiercely on the pig with his foot. He didn't stop until it no longer resembled a pig. Kai, who was overly excited, quickly used his hands to calm himself down. He adjusted his breathing. When he had calmed down, he smiled and picked up the little pig. He threw the little pig into the washing machine. He was very happy to see that he was not having hallucinations. He thought he had rid himself of the drug's influence. Theodore in the control room saw this scene. He picked up the medicine package and took a look. He revealed a meaningful smile. Kai went upstairs along the stairs, carefully approached an empty room, found his phone and card on the table. After picking up the items, he glanced at the time. 6:54. It's exactly the time when that family is having dinner. He climbed up through the stairs. He looked from afar at the B&B. Enjoy your last dinner. He returned to the cabin. He took all his equipment, ready to start the revenge. Still in the old position, he took out the binoculars to observe the situation of the B&B. He saw the male owner sitting nicely in the room. Kai thought he had made a mistake. He prepared to take another look. Unknown to him, the already dead Miles had quietly approached him from behind. The crazed killer reappeared in the world. He saw the man he had killed with his own hands. The person who should have died appeared alive in front of him. Kai is very angry. He is prepared to kill him again. He also said that those who watch this video, comment, subscribe, and you can spare your life, to avoid being mistakenly harmed. Just as he was considering how to kill the perverted male host, another person who was killed was quietly approaching him. He arrived behind Kai. He raised the sickle, ready to kill him. Kai sensed something was wrong. He suddenly turned around. Somebody there? At this moment, the sickle had already come down. Kai quickly adjusted his body. He sidestepped to avoid the attack. He raised the hammer in his hand. He smashed down fiercely, just when the two couldn't hold on any longer. Miles took advantage of his physical strength and kicked Kai in the stomach. He sent him flying several dozen meters away. Kai clutched his stomach, pondering what kind of person this guy was in front of him. Because he remembered clearly, he had killed him with his own hands. The distinct sensation, the splattering blood drops. It was all so real. This can't help but make him doubt. Is the Miles in front of him just a ghost or a zombie? Suddenly, Kai seemed to have figured something out. It made him break out in a cold sweat. He recalled scene after scene of himself killing the father and son. Could it all have been an illusion? He couldn't accept this fact. Just as he was lost in thought, Miles rushed up and struck him on the shoulder with a knife. Blood splattered everywhere instantly. Kai covered the wound, quickly backed away, looking at the blood in his hand, feeling the sharp pain coming from the wound. He laughed out loud. Miles was very puzzled by this. Kai approached him step by step. Although the killing of 2 people before might have been an illusion, this time, the intense pain in his shoulder made him realize it was definitely real. Kai decided to kill Miles again. Upon hearing this, Miles quickly rushed towards him. He swung his knife down again. He struck directly on Kai's shoulder. Miles paused for a moment. Didn't expect it to be so easy. Kai's mouth lifted slightly. His left hand pressed down on the sickle. He swung his right hand heavily. Blood splattered everywhere instantly. Looking at the fallen Miles, he felt that this exchange of injury for life was not bad. He turned around and prepared to deal with the others. But he had not walked a few steps when he stopped again. He turned around and walked towards the corpse, only hearing the sound of thumping footsteps. He smashed the corpse to pieces with a hammer. He then burst into laughter. "You get up and try again." But there was only a loud bang. The stone behind him shattered. He turned around to look. It turned out to be the man of the house who fired the gun. Following that, the man jumped out of the window with the gun. He headed straight for the 2 people. He quickly arrived next to his son's body. He looked expressionlessly for a moment. Then he glanced around. He left. Kai behind the tree watched. He couldn't help but wonder if they were really family. He showed no emotion at all upon seeing his son's body. But now there is no time for him to think too much. Kai quickly arrived at the B&B entrance, deciding to take advantage of the man's absence. He got rid of the remaining people. But these 3 people, are they really easy to kill? He entered the house directly through the window. The little daughter at this time. She just made a bee helmet. She seemed to see Kai being abused by herself. Excited, she licked his cheek with her tongue. After the little girl left, Kai walked out of the room. He cursed the girl in secret. What a wicked little brat! He then looked at the empty dining table. He guessed that this family hadn't eaten yet. Kai came up with a plan. He prepared to walk towards the kitchen. But as he walked, he suddenly stopped in his tracks. His gaze fell on the deer head on the wall. He once again noticed the camera. Just like last time, he didn't start to dismantle it. He gave it a fierce glance. What is he going to do in the kitchen? Comment, subscribe. Is this man abnormal? He actually likes to eat poison mixed with rice, not satisfied with eating it himself. He also wants these 3 women to eat with him. He also said that those who watch this video and do not want to have a meal with him should subscribe. Just as Kai was about to pour poison into the food, he suddenly heard a noise coming from the stairs. It turns out to be the female owner of the B&B. She put away what she was holding in her hand. She opened the door and walked into the kitchen. She arrived in front of the refrigerator. It seemed she didn't see Kai hiding. Kai did not hide. Instead, he suddenly appeared in front of the woman. "Auntie, didn't I warn you not to let me come out?" The woman calmly looked at him. Kai was not being polite either. He raised the hammer, preparing to kill her. The woman was prepared early on. She took out the anti-wolf spray and boldly sprayed Kai. The liquid entered his body. Kai instantly felt his whole body go limp. His consciousness became blurred. He felt as if he was in a whirlpool, drifting with the waves. Kai became furious. He swung the hammer wildly into the air. His expression contorted. Tears and snot streamed down together. He tried hard to regain consciousness. Suddenly, he vaguely saw a figure. Kai angrily swung the hammer at him. He was grabbed by someone. When he saw the person clearly, he couldn't help but be greatly shocked. The one who caught his hammer was actually Miles, whom he had killed twice. Kai suddenly burst into laughter. He followed up with a headbutt and swung the hammer to try to kill Miles again. He was grabbed by the head. He was brutally thrown several tens of meters away. Kai lying on the ground. He saw Miles walking up to him. He smiled again. He felt like he must be going crazy. At this moment, the master also hurried back and aimed a gun at him. Kai slowly stood up. He pulled out the iron pipe behind him intending to settle the score with them. The man holding the gun, however, hesitated and did not make a move. Kai, who has killed many people, has sensed that something is not right. His intuition told him. The man in front of him is trembling in fear. Kai gave a creepy smile. "Mister, you seem very scared." Seeing her husband hesitating to take action, the woman asked him to stand behind her. She would handle it herself. This statement exposed a flaw that Kai caught on to. He charged directly towards the man and knocked him down with a stick. The woman saw what was happening and shouted in horror, "Don't do it!" Kai took the opportunity to pick up the shotgun on the ground. He aimed the gun at the two of them. He smiled. "Auntie, do you have the gift of immortality?" he asked, and then immediately fired his gun. Blood splattered everywhere. The woman was shot down. Miles glanced at his mother's body. He turned around and prepared to chase after Kai. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. He stopped in his tracks. He looked at his father lying on the ground. The man had already lost a lot of blood. He was gasping for breath heavily. Miles tore off his sleeve to bandage the wound for him. At this moment, it started to rain heavily outside. Kai arrived at the place where he sought shelter for the first time. Due to excessive blood loss, he felt dizzy and passed out directly. He knew he couldn't pass out here, because the family was still looking for him. He was confused. He saw the little boy. Kai was so surprised that he couldn't speak, because he saw the little boy standing in the rain, yet his body was not getting wet. He asked the boy if he was a ghost. But what happened next made him completely break down. Are all the people in this family monsters? No matter how they are killed, they just won't die. They are about to drive the serial killer insane with all the killing. Kai, who was seriously injured, almost fainted in the rain. At the moment of death, a little boy appeared in front of him. Kai endured the severe pain and propped himself up. Because he suspected the boy was a ghost, he asked who the boy was, and if he had been killed by the family. He also raised the card in his hand, asking if it was his masterpiece. But the boy remained silent. Kai sighed and asked the final question. The reason why that family cannot be killed. The atmosphere instantly fell silent, with only the clear sound of rain. Kai gradually began to collapse, and started to curse loudly. He cursed for quite a while. The boy said the reason why this family did not die. Kai has known it long ago. He also said he almost killed the male owner of the B&B. Kai was stunned, looking incredulous. You should know that guy. He can't even be killed by a shotgun. Just as they were talking, Theodore suddenly appeared with a gun. He glared viciously at the boy. Do you know how much effort I put in to find you? After he shouted Rowdy loudly, he directly shot down the boy. And the name Rowdy. It also plunges Kai into memories. On a rugged mountain road, a woman is driving a small car. There is also a little boy in the car, but the woman calls him Kai. The two of them arrive at a pig farm. They received a warm welcome from this family. The woman tells the little boy that these people will be his family in the future. She asked him to go up and say hello. The hostess was impressed by his politeness. She then turned her head to look into the house. Just saw a pig-headed teenager running out. He was holding a pig doll in his hand, and he came to Kai. Hello. My name is Rowdy. Kai, who had regained his senses, looked at the boy who had fallen to the ground. He only felt confused in spirit. He didn't know what that memory meant. Theodore walked towards the boy step by step. He aimed the gun at his head. He had a sinister expression on his face. Looking at your face makes me sick. He was about to pull the trigger after saying that, but Kai stopped him. Theodore grabbed his wound and made him roll away. Kai hit Theodore in the stomach with a stick. He forced him back. Kai seized the opportunity. He knocked him over with a stick. Then Kai kept hitting him over and over with the stick until the ground was covered in fresh red liquid. Only then did he stop. He turned to look at the boy on the ground. He found it very funny. Ghosts actually could be shot down. He asked the boy who he was. The boy said he was Kai. Kai couldn't believe that he was looking at himself. The little Kai in the pool of blood told him. The way to leave the island is to kill all of his family. Kai asked him again to tell him how to kill them. The boy said that Kai already knew. He looked at Kai with a bewildered look, wanting him to remember. You can only be an innocent wild beast. Don't let that family kill you. Kai sees Kai covering his wound. He tells Kai. Theodore's dormitory has a first aid kit. Let him go there first to treat the wound. And also, he is asked not to go to the basement under any circumstances. After speaking, the boy turned into a wisp of blue smoke and dissipated in front of Kai. He arrived at Theodore's cabin. I didn't expect to find not only a first aid kit here. There are even antibiotics available. After dealing with the wound, he couldn't help but look towards the entrance to the basement under the bed.